Hello, 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 family. Hello, hello, world. Hello, South Africa. Once more, I'm back. My name is Lunginga P on your favorite show and in your favorite station, Africa USA Unity Events Radio and Television. You can find us on www.africausaradio.com. Are you still here? I'm still here with your lovely show called Your New Day Will Dawn. It's a promise. It's a promise. And in us having the promise, we don't know exactly how it's going to be navigated and how it's going to be laid out and how it's going to turn out and how it's going to be really, whether it will be effective or not. But we still trust and we still believe that it will indeed be. It will indeed be. Sounds like the English bundles are gone. Sanbonani, Molweni, that is my mother tongue. When you say Molweni, that's the isiXhosa language. And in my language, if I were to translate your new day will dawn, I would usually say nobakho ubusuku buzakusa, nobakho ubusuku buzakusa. And what I want us today to do is I want us to quickly just focus on having this moment of trusting the Lord and knowing and believing, no matter the circumstances, no matter what it is that we might have been facing. I faced a number of losses, in this week. It's been, in fact, from last week into this week, and it felt. For a moment, it felt dark. For a moment, it felt I'm still in the night. But I had to remind myself that indeed I believe that my new day will dawn. And here we are once more on www.africausaradio.com, Africa USA Unity Events and radio and television. You can find us on the same in our social media platforms. You'll definitely find the rest of our family there with all the different kinds of powerful shows that we share with you at home or from wherever you're watching from. And that's the beauty about technology. It allows us to access power of the word through any form of a gadget or any platform or whatsoever. If you remember the last time I shared a little bit in my book, which is titled I Will Sing a New Song, which is a story of hope. And the subtitle thereof is Even After the Darkest Night, a New Day Will Dawn. And the losses that I've experienced from last week and into this week has reminded me, once again, of a particular chapter in my book, which I do want to share a bit with you once more today. And I do want us to connect in understanding that there's absolutely nothing wrong when you feel like you've lost a loved one, you've lost a friend, you've lost a close family member or a friend or a colleague for that matter, there's absolutely nothing wrong in feeling that it feels a bit dark, it's got no direction or whatsoever. And this reminded me of the chapter that I wrote about my mother in my book, and I would really love to read once more, just a small segment in the book so that you understand fully how we made it into a new dawn. And I will just take it in the middle of nowhere in the book where I said, it's on page 69, once she understood what had taken place, my dear mother deeply regretted not being there for me. With reconciliation, a whole new door opened in our relationship. We found each other at last, and I was finally able to make the choice to forgive her. I was finally able to talk to her and relate to her as mother and daughter should. We became really close in a very short space of time. I was able to talk to her about so many things, to share with her all the difficulties and hurts I had experienced. Our relationship blossomed. She was like a rose to me, I began referring to her as my Rose, so special and precious and beautiful. My Rose became a pillar of strength for me. I was so grateful to have her in my life. She repeatedly told me, all will be well, my baby. She always encouraged me and gave me hope. She believed in me. She knew that I was strong and encouraged me to persevere. Not once did she encourage me to quit, even in my marriage, even though she knew all the details of my marriage. Then my Rose became ill. And here's the part where I believe you will connect with me on many levels, where I had to now, excuse me, I sneezed there a little bit, where I had to now be on another level in terms of trusting God and knowing exactly how I should be, or how I should be there for my mother, Then my Rose became ill. Around the same time that my Rose became ill, I was transferred and had to relocate to Port Elizabeth. It was during the school holidays that I made the move. So my son stayed behind for the remainder of the holidays, then joined me just before school opened for the next term. I had managed to get him into a local school in the city where I was, and because of her illness, my mother relocated, from Adelaide, which is my hometown in South Africa, Eastern Cape, to Port Elizabeth, which is where we were, and came to live with me, and this is where I believe that the puzzle in my life was now put together fully and completely. And why am I sharing these little segments with you, or little chapters in my book? It is simply because I want us to understand that we all share similar, if not the exact same stories about our lives, about our faith, about how we would really truly want to be, conquerors in this life. And fast forwarding my story, how it became dark, how it felt like it was in the night and there's no new day that would have dawned. It was when my mother fell ill. And it was when I had to constantly, on a daily basis, for a full 3 months, visit her in a hospital, watching her lying on a bed, on a sick bed, and becoming helpless by day, and up until the day, which was the 27th of October, 2012, where she felt, no, I can't do this anymore. I can't. She kept on saying she's tired. She can't do this anymore. And eventually, I had to be strong now, finally, because I kept on saying, be strong, hang in there. Let's do this. We can still do this. And she's like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. And she gave in, 27th of October. And that's the day I believe my night became so dark that I didn't believe that it would dawn. And that's the day as well where I asked myself, will my friends be there? And guess what? God kept some of them, few, around me, helping me navigate my new normal of not having my mother. And I know that everybody, when it comes to, our mothers, we all don't want to lose our moms. We all wish and want that they should be with us for the rest of our lives. And it's unfortunate because that's not how God has designed this thing called life. So I had to now face the facts of life, of her being so ill. And on the last day, I remained at the hospital for so many hours, being at the hospital from 6 a.m. in the morning until the doctors told me at 7 p.m. in the evening of the same day to say, listen, you need to go home. You need to go rest. And I was like, but she's breathing so hard and it's heavy. and I don't know what's happening. She has this sound that I don't even understand what it's about. And why don't you give her an injection? And the doctors were like, no, if I give her an injection now, I'll be killing her. So I don't have to give her an injection. She needs to rest. You need to go home. Okay. Then I had to go home. So I went. Instead of going home, I decided, let me go via the church, because there was a conference in the church. And when I stepped in the church, the pastor there was telling us a story of a little girl who was in an aeroplane. She was going to a particular city, and the aeroplane took off. And then once it was in the air, after a couple of minutes of it being in the air, it started wobbling. It started, doing some funny movements. And everybody began to panic. Everybody began to worry. And everybody started asking questions. What's going on? What's happening? Can the pilot tell us what's happening? Can the cabin crew tell us what's happening? And everybody was told to calm down, to relax. And like, we can't relax. We can't relax. The chaos that goes, with that. So what eventually happened was, there was one person that came to this little girl and said to her, why are you so calm? Everybody else is going bizarre, but you calm. And she said, when she responded, she said, my daddy never said my plane will crash. When my daddy dropped me off at the airport, he never said my plane will crash. She even owned the plane, at some point. And I guess this is what the pastor then said to us, that I don't know what kind of a plane you're on. Maybe the plane is already up in the air. But let me tell you this. God said it will never crash for as long as I'm in charge. It will never crash. And we might have lost loved ones in the long run in life. But the beauty about it is we have not crashed. Even if we feel like we're about to crash, we know exactly which pilot to consult. We know exactly which pilot is actually flying us. And we're trusting that this pilot that's flying us is going to make sure that we make it to the destination. And that's the beauty about life. And that's the beauty about our lives. And let's continue. Let's continue trusting God, knowing fully that even after the darkest night, our new day will dawn. Let's continue right in the midst of the pain and the confusion and the chaos. Let's continue believing and knowing that your new day will dawn. It doesn't matter who says what. It doesn't matter who thinks what. It doesn't matter who thinks that they know what you're going through. It doesn't matter who thinks that, I know your day is not dark enough, or your day is kind of dark and not really dark. You must know, despite the look on your day, it will dawn. It has to dawn. It should dawn. And when I lost my mother, that's when I realized that God has been with me and my siblings and everybody else that was close to her. And we thought we will live in the dark. We will never see the light. The day will never dawn. And guess what? God made sure that our day still dawns up until this day. And while she was in a hospital bed, we had the opportunity to pray together. It was a very difficult time, but it was also a very special time. When you're in the dark, it's a difficult time, but yet you must understand it is also a special time, because that is when God truly wants you to focus on Him and not in the dark. It was a very difficult time, but it was also a very special time, a time of being able to pour out my love for her and be able to do things for her to meet her basic needs in life. It was a time of sacrificial love for my precious Rose. When she was admitted to hospital, I spent as much time as possible with her. I prayed with her. I prayed for her. I fed her. She was very frustrated at not being able to feed herself or wash her own fragile body. I watched her fading away. Death was slowly stealing her from me like a thief. I prayed for a miracle. I asked God to heal my Rose. I was not ready to lose her. We had not had enough time together. I felt God saying to me, I am here, right in the midst of the chaos of your life, my daughter. I had sleepless nights, yet I had the energy to pray. I prayed so much, it seemed like I was praying nonstop, and I knew that God was listening nonstop. When my Rose's health deteriorated, I continued to pray. You're probably asking yourself, when you're in the dark, will you have the strength and the courage to pray? I say yes, because I've been there. Would you have the courage to even approach God and tell him how much you are afraid of? I say yes, I've been there. Would you have the courage to approach God and tell him that I don't want to pray anymore? I don't want to do this anymore. You're not listening to me. You're not rescuing me. I'd say, yes, you would do that because I've done that before. I've been there. Yeah, you're still with us on AfricaUSARadio.com, and the name of the show says, Even After the Darkest Night, a New Day Will Dawn. And we are about encouragement tonight. And we say, I don't know who has lost a loved one who will be watching this show or listening to the show. I don't know who feels they've lost themselves in the process of living and being in this life. I don't know who's lost their job. I don't know who's lost a good friendship that they had. I don't know who's lost their marriage. I don't know who's lost a relationship somewhere. But I can tell you one thing. You might have lost all these things that I've just calculated or counted. There's one more person that you have not yet lost. And this person, you'll never lose them because they will never forsake you. They will never leave you. They will never give up on you. And do you know who that is? That is the one and only mighty God that we serve. There's a beautiful song that I used to play a lot on radio when I start the show that I would be broadcasting in. It's sang by Oleta Adams, the legend. I loved her dearly. And the title of the song says, Come and Walk With Me Upon the Water. And I believe when we're in the dark, we like Peter on the water. We're not sure. We're doubtful. Are we going to make it to the other side with his light? Am I even going to make it on the water? Am I going to be able to walk on the water alone? And that's doubt and that's fear. And of course, we are human beings. Sometimes we're scared to take the next step of trusting God. Sometimes we're not even sure whether we want to trust God. And I would say to you, my brother and my sister at home, give him a chance. Trust him one more time. Give him that opportunity for him to prove and to show himself to you, because he wants to show himself to you. He wants to come into your heart. He wants to come into your home. He wants to be part of all the relations that you have in your life. He wants to show you once more that he has never forsaken you in the dark. He has never left you in the dark. He will never allow you, or he will never to let your foot slip, and he will never let you slumber. He will never let the sun burn you. He'll never let you go. Even if he knows that you're throwing a fit, you're throwing a tantrum, you want absolutely nothing to do with him. It's like he's sitting in that corner and he says, I'll sit here and wait for you. I will not go away until you tell me that you're done crying and I can do the honors to comfort you. Once again, your new day will dawn. Don't you give up just yet. We are still family. We will still do this together. On your station, Africa USA Unity Events Radio and Television. Check us on the website www.africausaradio.com. Monday to Wednesday, remember, we say, your new day will dawn. And today, here we are. We've lost the loved ones, but we have not yet lost our God. And in fact, we will never lose our God. Bless you. See you next time, same place, in our beautiful home. The beat of Ekaya, and that is home. Toodles.